So we're back for section 1.2, which is Introduction to Integers. So in the last section, we learned about whole numbers. Now we will look at the next group of numbers that includes the whole numbers and the negative counting numbers. So this group of numbers is called the integers. So we have all of these negative counting numbers to the left, and they go on forever to the left. And then we have all the positive ones on the right, and they go off to the right. So now you want to be careful how you distinguish a negative sign or a minus sign. So they are interchangeable in a lot of ways, but sometimes it's nice to be technical about it in various cases. So just a couple of examples here. We got -6, which is what we would expect because there's nothing else around it. Something like this, on the other hand, we would say 11 minus 5. So again, nothing fancy about this one. But what about something like this? So now we got a lot of those minuses, negative signs in here. So how would you say that properly? So you can probably guess it, but let's just write her down here. So this is going to be a -7 minus a -4. Now, when you have a lot of negatives and minuses and stuff like that, they like to separate them with parentheses like that. So you're going to see parentheses a lot to keep those signs separated from each other. So, and again, we're going to see that as we go, and hopefully you'll get familiar with it if you aren't already. So again, separating addition and subtraction from a negative number is usually done with parentheses. So we will be using those quite a bit. Now, some integer facts that we hopefully know. All positive numbers should be greater than 0, -1 should be less than 0, and 0, though, is neither positive nor negative, so it really doesn't have a sign to it at all. So that's, it's important, but it's not anything too earth-shattering, as we know. So what about another way to analyze integers? And one of the ways I really like to use is a number line. So a number line is a really nice way just to see all of those numbers. So if we just draw a line, and if we start in the middle, that is going to be your 0. And then you can kind of space out some dashes, as many as you want. And then you just label them. Now, obviously it goes on forever, so we can just put a little arrowhead that goes that way, and we can go the other direction as well. And if we want to put an arrowhead on that side as well. So that just gives us a visual, and we're going to be able to use this later on when we start doing operations with numbers, which we're going to get to really soon. All right, so if we wanted to graph a set of numbers on a number line, now we only want to specify those 4 numbers. So if we do our blank number line again, let's go a little bit faster here. Now the arrows on the ends are not absolutely critical, but it's not a bad thing. So -1. So if we want to identify -1 on the number line, we're just going to put a dot right on where it crosses that number line. So there's -1. 4 we know is over here. -2 is down here. And +5, which I didn't do, but we can squeeze it in. So there's 5. So that's graphing. So they want an actual dot on those spots. So, okay. So let's go to the next page. All right. So now, if we want to compare numbers, comparing numbers, we can do using inequality symbols. So we got greater than and less than, and we got other ones as well, but we're just going to use greater than and less than to make it simpler. So now we just got to be careful how you interpret those signs. So in this case, we got 5 is greater than 2. We got 13 is less than 17. Now, if you're of the age of Pac-Man, that's one way that you can remember which way it opens up, because Pac-Man always goes towards the larger number. So that is one video game way to remember how that works. But another way, you can almost think of it like an arrow, an arrowhead that points towards the smaller one. So if you wanted to make it an arrow, arrow points to the smaller one, arrow points to the smaller one. So you've got a couple of options to help with that. But if that still is problematic for you, you can always use the number line. So the number line is another way that you can visually see which one's bigger than the other. So, and the way you do that is by rephrasing the greater than symbol as is to the right of, and the less than symbol is to the left of. So let's take a look at a couple examples. So if we got -5 compared to +5, so now this is the less than symbol. So is this true or not? Well, if we do a number line, now we don't have to draw the whole thing. We just have to kind of have an idea of where those numbers fall on the number line. So +5 we know better be over here on the right hand side somewhere. -5 we know better be on the left hand side. So that's the orientation of those two numbers on the number line. So now this means is to the left of, so is -5 to the left of +5? You betcha. So that would be true. Same thing with this. If we wanted to identify those two numbers on the number line, which one goes where? So the -12 is going to have to go on the left side, and -6 is going to have to go on the right. Because if you're at 0 and you start working your way to the left, the numbers get bigger in size, but more negative. So this is the layout. Now answer the question. Is -12 to the right of -6? No, -12 is on the left side. So this has got to be false. And then the last one. So we got -35 and -42. So where do those go? So -35 is going to have to be over on this side. -42 is over on that side. So is -35 going to be to the right of -42? And the answer is yes. So in this case, it's a true statement. All right, so we're going to stop there, and then we'll pick up the rest of this in the next video. So see you in a minute.